Hello and welcome back. This is part 2 of our beginner-friendly DevOps series where we are building it and deploying a real Express web app just like the pros do in Fortune 500 companies. In part 1, we built the app and containerized it using a Docker file. If you haven't seen that yet, the link is in the video description. Make sure to watch it first. Today we are taking the next step, deploying our Docker image to AWS using ECR, Elastic Container Registry. We'll explore 3 different methods or ways for doing this, using a bash shell script, using Python, and using Terraform. You'll see me run the commands in the terminal, and we will also verify everything inside the AWS Management Console so you understand what's happening behind the scenes. Let's now dive in. Our first section, it's about Docker file. Before we deploy anything, let's quickly revisit our Docker file. This file tells Docker how to package our Express application. Think of it like a recipe. We start with a Node.js base image, set up the working directory, install dependencies from package.json, copy in our source code, and finally we expose port 3000 and tell Docker how to start the application. Simple, clean, and ready to go. Section number 2. This is our first way or method that we'll be using, and we will use bash script. The first method, or this method we'll use to deploy our Docker image, is a bash shell script. And as I just said, here's what the script does step by step. First, it sets up a few key variables: our repo name, AWS region, and Docker tag. Then it gets our AWS account ID using a command called AWS STS get caller identity. We log into AWS ECR using Docker, so we are authenticated. Next, the script checks if the ECR repository exists, and if it doesn't, it creates it automatically. Finally, we build our Docker image, tag it, and push it to ECR. If you're watching the screen recording now, you will see these commands running in the terminal. And we will switch over the AWS console to show the repo and image pushed successfully. This is a very common method used in CI/CD pipelines and a great one to learn. Let's now move to method number 2, Python script. The second method is all about automation with Python. Here's what this Python script does. It starts by importing 2 Python libraries, Bo2.3 to talk to AWS and subprocess to run terminal commands. We define the repo name, region, and tag just like before. Then we use the Bo2.3 library to check if the repo exists and create it if not. After that, we run the same Docker commands as before using subprocess.run. So we are doing the exact same thing as in the bash script, simply using now Python instead of shell. This approach is helpful if you want to embed this logic into a bigger Python-based automation or DevOps tool. Again, during the video, you'll see my terminal running the script, and then we'll verify it in the AWS console. Let's go to method number 3, Terraform. Finally, we'll talk about infrastructure as code using Terraform. In this method, we declare everything in code, which AWS region we want to work in, the name of our repository, and a special option called force_delete, which allows us to delete the repo even if it has images in it. The process looks like this. We define variables in the variables.tag tf and terraform.tf-vars files. In main tf file, we use the AWS ECR repository resource to create our ECR resource. Then we simply run Terraform init, Terraform plan, and Terraform apply. This is great for teams who want to version control their infrastructure and make deployments repeatable and auditable. And just like the other two methods, you'll see the output in the terminal, and then we'll confirm the repo exists in AWS. Our final section of our demo here is it's cleanup. After running these demos, you will want to clean up your resources. First, you stop and remove Docker containers with Docker system prune. Delete the ECR repo using the AWS CLI. Tear down Terraform resources with Terraform destroy. And if you created a virtual environment for Python, run deactivate and delete the environment folder. We want to keep our cloud bill low and our environment clean. If you created a virtual environment or Python, run deactivate and delete the VNV folder. We want to keep our cloud bill low and our environment clean. All right, this is it for today's video. You just learned 3 real-world ways to deploy Docker images to AWS ECR using shell scripting, Python, and Terraform. These are tools used by real engineers at companies like Amazon, IBM, and Google. This was part 2 of our Express app journey. If you missed part 1, check the video description for the link. Next time, we are going to use this image from ECR and deploy it to AWS ECS and EKS, adding monitoring, security scans, and automation. Thanks for watching and learning with me. God bless you, and I'll see you in part 3.